You know that today is the third Filipino Heritage Month in Canada. And we are celebrating our 123rd Philippine Independence Anniversary since 1898 from the Spanish colonization of the Philippines. And we are celebrating this year 500 years of Christianity in the Philippines. Kaya tayong mga Pilipino, kahit saan man tayo mapunta, yung root, nandun na sa atin eh. We adopt the principles of Christianity. And next week, we're also celebrating Canada Day. Can you imagine? If you look at the news, the residential schools in Kamloops, the residential schools in Manitoba, Saskatchewan, can you imagine the heartache that imparted to the indigenous people here in Canada? We don't know in the Philippines if that's also the case because we don't have records there. So today, we're going to look at our role as Filipino in Canada, right? And it is not an accident that you are here in Canada. Sino nang nagsisisi? Ayan. So, meron daw isang kwento, bagong immigrant dito sa Vancouver, sa YVR Airport. First time niya, dala-dala niya yung balikbayan box niya. Immigrant siya eh. And then, sumakay siya sa YVR SkyTrain Station. And then, sabi niya, ganito pala ang MRT sa Canada? Pataas pababa? And then sumakay siya sa YVR station. Canada Line. Una, Canada Line, di ba? YVR to Waterfront. Tapos, nung dumaan siya dyan sa Vancouver City Hall, paglampas niya, King Edward Station. Namangha ang bagong Pilipino immigrant. High-tech pala rito sa Canada. Tinatawag ang pangalan mo pag ikaw ay bababa. Tapos inaabangan-abangan na niya hanggang mapunta siya sa waterfront. Then sa waterfront, sumakay siya ng Expo Line. Expo Line, papunta sa Surrey. And then dumaan siya diyan sa Joyce Station. Buti si Joyce, tinawag na. Kailan kaya ako tatawagin? And then, lumampas siya sa Nanay Mo Station. Buti si Nanay, tinawag na. And then, dumaan siya sa Edmonds. Sinong taga-Edmonds sa inyo? Edmonds Station, malapit sa Metro Town. Sabi niya, bakit hindi na tinatawag ang aking pangalan? And then, napadpad siya sa King George Station sa Surrey. Last station, mga kapatid. Hindi ho ba? At siyempre, last station na, bababa na siya kasi wala na siyang kasama. At ang ginawa niya ay pumunta siya doon sa King George Station at nagmuni-muni. Hindi ba? Tapos umupo siya doon sa hagdan. Hindi ba? Manon siya. Bakit kaya ako napadpad sa lugar na ito? Bakit kaya hindi tinawag si Marilyn? Kaya ang pamilya ni Marilyn ngayon, mga kapatid, ay napadpad sa Surrey, BC, Canada. 4 to 5 decades ago, the national Christian leaders and foreign evangelists propagated that the Philippines would be a launching pad of evangelism for the gospel in Asia. And the Philippines was destined to become this launching pad, right, of the gospel. And those leaders, way back ago when I was a student there, and they were convinced that the Filipino church would become a major force in world missions and become a major force in the world of missions, mga kapatid. And now, if you look at present day today, it seems to be that they are failing. If you look at the data in Asia, in North America, in South America, Christian nations, right? In the 2050, Christian nations will become now atheists, including Canada. And all the Muslims will become the dominant religion now in the world, right? On the other hand, Filipino Christians have been sovereignly positioned by God all over the world as overseas foreign workers, immigrants, contract workers, all over the world. Hindi ho ba? Kahit saan ka mapunta, may Pilipino. Hindi ho ba? Sino ang nag-cruise sa inyo? Ang dami. Kahit saan ka mapunta, may Pilipino talaga, mga kapatid. And they are effectively circumnavigating the globe freely. Like seamen, Brother June, di ba? They went all around the world, right? And the barriers that hinder the traditional missionary methods, mga kapatid, ay the Filipinos break it. The traditional missionary methods that was taught to us by the Catholics and by our forefather missionaries way back in the Philippines. And today, millions of Filipino Canadians and Filipino Christians are geographically positioned in every areas in Canada. And the major chunk is consecrated in Toronto area, and second is in British Columbia, mga kapatid. And there is a spiritual impact in this country, particularly we call it adopted country. Are you happy that you are here in Canada, or gusto nyo nang bumalik? Amen? Are you happy that you are here? Kahit mainit na? So God has an awesome plan for the Filipino Canadians. And God has been at work behind the curtains for 100 of years, preparing the Filipino heart, preparing the Filipino people for these last days of final evangelism. That God has been working behind the scene for 100 years, preparing us here in this place to propagate the gospel of the Lord. So if you look at our history as Filipinos here in Canada, the first Filipino settlement was in Bowen Island. That's the first, recorded history of Filipinos here in British Columbia. And it is undisputed that Filipinos are world-class. We are world-class in our ability to speak English compared to other groups. Hindi ho ba? We have this good language skills. We have this communication skill, right? And we have this cultural adaptability. Hindi ho ba? At hindi lang naman si Manny Pacquiao ang world class. Alam nyo ba, ang inaabangan doon sa fight ni Manny Pacquiao, yung interview niya. Effectively, ayaw ko ng interpreter. Kayang-kaya ko ito. And that is one of the traits of, that God has bestowed in the Filipino believer, whether you like it or not, mga kapatid. That is one of our qualities that God has bestowed on the Filipino heart. In 1 Peter chapter 2 verse 12, ganito po ang sinasabi, keep your behavior excellent among the Gentiles, so that in thing in which they slander you as evildoers, they may, because of your good deeds, as they observe them, glorify God in the day of visitation. So we Filipinos are, our behavior, right, to other people and even our fellow Filipinos are excellent. Diba? Marunong tayong makisama, right? Kahit anong lahi, right? Marunong tayong makisama sa kanila, mga kapatid. And that is one of the quality of the, that God has bestowed on the Filipino heart. And another quality that God has placed in the Filipino believer are simple lifestyle and hard workers. Don't you know that we are diligent, hard workers? Amen ho ba? Di ba? Kahit anong trabaho. Hindi ba? Kayang-kaya natin yan. Yung init na ito, yung temperature, sanay tayo dyan. Hindi ho ba? Anong klase ng trabaho, kaya natin yan. 15 years ago, sabi ni Brother Abril, nung pumunta siya rito, alam niyo yung mga loob-loob ng mga animals, yung mga ulo ng mga salmon, tinatapon yan. Nung araw daw. Nung dumating ang mga Pilipino, ibinebenta na, mga kapatid. Sapagkat mabenta pang pinapaitan at sinigang na ulo ng salmon. In Colossians chapter 3, verse 23, whatever you do, do your work heartily, as for the Lord rather than for man, knowing that from the Lord you will receive reward of the inheritance. It is the Lord Christ whom you serve. And it fits on our traits as Filipino. And it says, whatever you do, work at it with all your heart, as working for the Lord and not for human masters. Diba? That's why we are hard workers. Because when we work, right, as if we are working for the Lord. Yun ang hindi nakikita ng ibang mga grupo, mga kapatid, that we are working for the Lord. And in Romans chapter 12, verse 11 to 12, ganito po ang sinasabi, not lagging behind in diligence, fervent in spirit, serving the Lord, rejoicing in hope, persevering in tribulation, devoted to prayer. And in verse 13 it says, contributing to the needs of the saints, practicing hospitality. Diba? It fits again our traits as Filipino, hindi ba? Sapagkat we Filipinos are hospitable. And another quality of the Filipino people that God has bestowed is our friendliness. We know how to relate to others, and our boldness to share the gospel are among the qualities that God has placed in your hearts. Add to this the willingness to work anywhere, even in the remote areas here in Canada. Can you imagine, in Yellowknife, Nunavut, Northwest Territories, meron tayong mga counselor doon, ng mga Pilipino.